Garmin watches are far superior to any other fitness wearable I've ever tried. That includes Oura Ring, Whoop, Fitbit, Apple Watch, you name it. First, let's talk about investment, okay? Besides the lack of features, the idea that Whoop is going to charge me a hefty monthly fee to just see my data is insane. Same thing with Oura Ring, although Oura Ring, you're actually buying the hardware as well. With Garmin, once you buy your watch, that's it. It's a one-shot deal. You now have access to everything. Now let's talk about form factor, because originally, as a watch guy, I was very hesitant in picking up my first Garmin watch, because clearly you can't wear two watches at once. I would have to take off my nice watches in order to wear my wearable. With an Oura Ring or with a Whoop, I could do both at the same time. What I didn't realize is that being a watch is what makes the Garmin watch the best wearable there is. Not only do I have the digital time on my wrist at all times, where I don't have to be connected to my phone all the time. I can see exactly what's going down, but I get all my other data on here. I get my heart rate in live time. I get anything you could dream of is boom right here, including text messages. Having no choice but to log into your phone and then go into an app to view your live data just isn't ideal for me. And if that's something that you prefer, great. Garmin Connect, which is the Garmin app similar to Whoop or Oura, in my opinion, in my experience, it has been better than all those other apps. It really has. Now, I feel like people say that Garmin has a slight disadvantage when it comes to sleep tracking versus a Whoop or an Oura Ring. But to be honest with you, I mean, I've had a very similar experience with all three devices. And to be fair, their readiness score, their version of it, which is called the body battery, in my opinion, is a much more intuitive way to kind of give you an idea of how you're supposed to be feeling for that next day. Again, maybe the Oura or the Whoop is a better sleep tracker by a small margin, but nothing that to the naked eye I can really get my head around. And let's not forget, the Garmin is a full sports watch with a GPS. I mean, from a training or an athletic perspective, the amount of features it has is not even comparable. Now, to quickly speak on an Apple Watch versus a Garmin watch, I mean, that's a much more nuanced conversation. There's pros and cons to both. It's going to fit different people's needs. But I will say the big deal breaker for me is that an Apple Watch needs to be charged, I think, once a day or once every couple days at best. A Garmin watch, depending on the model, but pretty much all models, we're talking 3 weeks on a single charge. If you have a solar model, maybe even a month. I mean, this is just game-breaking stuff. If you have a 24/7 fitness wearable that tracks your sleep, ideally, you want to charge this thing as little as possible. I can count on my hands how many times I've charged this thing in the last like 4 months. I'm not even kidding around. I mean, this is just, it's in a league of its own. Between the battery life, between the no monthly subscription, between all the features, having all the data accessible on my wrist, this is the best wearable on the market. It's not even close. If you're like me and you've tried a bunch of different wearables and you have a strong opinion on maybe one of these other devices being the best one on the market, let me know what you think.